Hello and welcome back to another sort of unscripted video where I'm going to go into my favourite supplements for OSR style games, and the ones I own and the ones I have as physical copies and great PDF versions of them. Some of these are free again, some of them cost a little bit of money. But to begin with, this isn't really a supplement, but I would like to mention, at the end of my last video, if you ever watched it, I talked about Osric and an honourable mention. I just want to mention that there is the player's guide for Osric. Now, if you have a look at it, it's a really nicely printed out book, and the artwork is more up to date than the normal Osric big book. It's just the player's guide, so it's not the whole thing, it's just the player's guide to Osric. So, like a player's handbook for Osric, first edition D&D, basically a replication of those rules, but made so much more simple, so much easier to understand, put out in a format which is just much easier. And I'd like to mention that, and you can get the Osric Player's Guide off Amazon, and at the moment, the time this video is made, this is £5.82. In dollars, add a couple more dollars to that, I presume, for the exchange rate if you're in the USA. But this book is a wonderful little book, just to get used to the rules of Osric. It doesn't have the Dungeon Master guide bits in it, doesn't have the monsters parts, but if you've got some players around the table, you know, that's a really nice little value book, and the artwork's updated and it looks nice. And I just wanted to mention this as just a really nice addition to your game if you have Osric as a game. So, first of all, after that, I would like to go on to some supplements. Oh, one quick thing, remember, Osric is free. To download the whole thing is free as a PDF. Costs money to get the print. Anyway, the supplements I wanted to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is something that costs a little bit of money, and you can get it off Dyr RPG only for $2.99 for the PDF, or you can get the book printed for $6.50, or PDF and softcover for $7.70. And it is the Shady Dragon Inn. And the Shady Dragon Inn is a book which a lot of people may be familiar with if you're used to the old Beck Me days of Dungeons and Dragons. And it has pre-generated characters, as it says on the front, for the D&D fantasy game. And it's a book full of just pre-generated characters that you can use in your games. Now, I know not everybody may want to use this, because some people will just make someone up on the spot. I can make up an AC for this person, or this, that, or the other. This book has a small little blurb about each person that it has in the book. And it has plenty and plenty and plenty of people. I think there's probably about 100, more than 100. Well, actually, if I'm looking at the numbers on here, I think that it goes up to about 118, and there are famous characters. There's Warduke in the back here, who was a famous character from the old D&D games days even. And so I think this is a wonderful book if you just want somebody to add to your OSR game, and it has little descriptions of them and their abilities and everything, and it's nice. It's not essential, and it's not free, but it is $2.99. $3, can you go wrong? I don't think so. However, let's get into something a little bit more free. So, I spoke about it last time in my last video, if you haven't seen it. Basic fantasy role-playing game. It is a free, up-to-date sort of, in that it has roll high, ability checks, roll high, roll over a certain number. But based on the old school game, it is a free PDF book. But not only is Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game a free PDF book, but in the PDF version, everything's free with Basic Fantasy PDF. That means a thing like the Field Guide, which has more monsters that you can use in it, is free as a PDF. And if you purchase it off Amazon, or any other retailers are available at a very low price. There are supplements for this coming out of the side of your ears everywhere. There are adventure anthologies, the Adventure Anthology 1, 2 and 3. What the adventure anthologies have, they're full chock-a-block of OSR one-shot adventures that you could put together if you want, if you're creative. And they're full of them, and each PDF is free. I mean, look at the amount. Just look at the amount in the Adventure Anthology 1. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 adventures. No, 9, 10, 11, 12. 14 adventures in Adventure Anthology 1. We replicate that across all 3 of them. I'm really bad at maths, but that's 30. 42, something like, there's a lot of adventures in there that you can utilize, and they're free as a PDF. And if you want to get them on print, which I did because I found Basic Fantasy, and it doesn't matter if you use Basic Fantasy and you want to play Shadow Dark or Old Swords Reign. Thank you for the suggestions of people who told me to have a look at that, because I got it and had a look. If you play Old School Essentials, it doesn't matter. The Basic Fantasy, and what Chris Goneman and the community of people who added to that have done, is they've created a lot of so much value and resources for that. It's brilliant. I cannot understate enough how brilliant I think Basic Fantasy is, especially even if you don't like the system. The bits around it that you can utilise for your own system is great. There's Morgan's Fort, which is like a whole campaign based on, and where people get to have an exploration and everything like that. It's brilliant. There's, let me have a look here, because I've got so many of the books. There's the Chaotic Caves. What do you think that's based upon? The Chaotic Caves. Of course it's the Keep on the Borderlands. There's the Dark Temple. But the Dark Temple is a temple which multiple people have written in about what the Dark Temple is. So there's the same temple, but multiple different adventures, so you can change what the temple is every time, depending on your group. Same for the Castle by the Sea. There's a castle layout, and multiple people have written an adventure for the castle layout that your characters can go on. And this is brilliant. Tales from the Laughing Dragon, another small campaign. Look, if you do anything from this video, go on the Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game website, or just look it up, or maybe it's on Dyr RPG. Download these books. Be thankful that people out there have written these books for you to utilise. There's nothing stopping you transferring them to a 5th edition game if you want to do a little bit of work. There's nothing stopping you from transferring it to any game, that system that you run, if you want to do a bit of work. And I find it useful if you've got a night out planned with your group, but somebody cancels, but you still want to play. Well, I've got about 50, 60 adventures that I can pull from a drop of a hat. If I can't think of something off the top of my head, or there's something that I want to add to, any one of these I can use. And I love that, and I think it's so valuable. And I don't want to turn it into an advert for Basic Fantasy, but I think the whole project is lovely. And that is brilliant, and I like that. Also, as a last bit, there's the Equipment Emporium, which is full of equipment, siege engines, what boats do, services and towns, and that's free as well. So that is just great, and I love that. And I cannot describe enough how much I like the Basic Fantasy role-playing game system. That being said, another bit that I like, another game, this one does cost money. I say a game, it's not a game, it's a supplement for your OSR style game. And it is this, The Evils of Illmire. Now, The Evils of Illmire is a whole campaign. And look at the size of the book. I had mine printed from PDF. I bought the PDF of Dyr RPG. $4.99. This is a small hexcrawl that your group goes to the village of Illmire, and things. I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, but there's a cult there, and there's mantis men, and there's a beholder, and there's fire giants, and there's a sorceress, and there's bandits, and it's a 72-page zine, as it explains, and there's so much going. There's a dungeon keyed for every single hex that they could go through. Also, overland things that will happen whilst they're overland. There's a whole Underdark area. Once you download the PDF, there's multiple extras, not just the book, but there are lots of extra bits that you can look at, and like player handouts, things like that. And just The Evils of Illmire is a whole campaign for you to play, and it will last a while. It can last quite a while for a group. Compare that to a Wizards of the Coast edition. Say I want to play Tyranny of Dragons, which I am running at the moment for 5th edition. That's about £40. £30 to £40. I don't know what that is in dollars. Probably quite a lot. Evils of Illmire, yeah, I get it. It doesn't have the same production value of Wizards of the Coast. However, a hell of a lot of thought's been put into this. Heck of a lot. And it's still a big campaign, and it is detailed about what's happened, and it's open-ended. Now, of course, Tyranny of Dragons has a lot more support for it and everything like that. But it's so much more money. And you're still getting a full campaign out of it. You're getting a full campaign, and nothing, again, as with basic fantasy role-playing game, is stopping you converting that to 5th edition if you have a 5th edition group, if you want to play 5th edition. And there's nothing, as I've always said, there's nothing wrong with, if you want to play OSR, you want to play 5th edition, you want to play somewhere in between, like Castles and Crusades, or something like that, or Old Swords Reign, or Shadow Dark, or anything like that. It doesn't matter, but this Evils of Illmire is brilliant, and I would love to run it for my group at some point, just as a more old style campaign, and maybe I will do that. Anyway, that's where I'm going to finish this week. Try all of these, please. That none of them are going to break the bank if you do decide to purchase the PDFs, and I think they're just brilliant, and especially Basic Fantasy. You can't go wrong. It's free. The whole system's free. If you're going to start at an OSR anywhere, Basic Fantasy, if you just want the PDFs, and even if you want to purchase things, the core game and everything around it, it's just great value. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it, and take care. Bye-bye. Oh, one more thing before I do go. Do you like hobbies, painting, miniatures, Games Workshop, any type of miniatures like that? Doesn't have to be Games Workshop, but do you like painting? If you do, please pay my friend's YouTube channel a visit, The Hobby Streak. He's such a gifted painter. I've always been in awe over the years I've known him about how gifted he is at painting. And I'd love it if you were to give him a look, because he teaches you how he paints and everything like that. And I just think he's just a brilliant channel to have a look at. If you enjoy the hobby side of painting and things like that especially, give it a look, because it's just brilliant. Anyway, thanks again and take care.
Red Dead Redemption.